10 years, but it's been a lifelong calling for him. So he's very excited and very experienced in the realm of manifesting miracles, which is what his talk is about today. And what we are is we're the Ezekiel Center. We are a nonprofit organization, and in that organization, we teach people how to overcome blocks, barriers, and belief systems that no longer serve us. So a lot of times people notice that they've got things that repeat in their life, like situations that kind of keep coming up. Everybody's nodding, like, yeah, I get it. I have had that. I've had that too. Or we've noticed certain types of people that keep reappearing at different times in our life with different faces, right? That person that irritated you then, they show up again somewhere else in your life, in a different body, the same irritation. You get it, right? So this is something that is a repeating pattern there for a reason. And that frustration that you feel inside, you're allowed to feel it. The anger sometimes we feel with things like this, repeating situations, you're allowed to feel it. These are gifts that have been given to you, and they're meant to be used. It's a tool for part of your life, for what living life is all about here on the planet. And manifesting miracles is the secret of how you use that tool, right? How you use those emotions to your benefit, because they've been given to you for a reason. So that's something that we teach at the Ezekiel Center. Dr. Dan is going to be here to talk to you about that, how we do that, what that means for you, what that means for a lot of the different people that we've helped in the past. We've helped people overcome job transition, rape, lots of other very deep emotional situations that have come up in their life, abuse, things like that. So, without further ado, I'm not here to speak to you. Dr. Dan is here to speak to you. He is super lively. I love it when he speaks. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. So, I'm very pleased to announce Dr. Dan.
Welcome, everybody. It's so nice to see everybody. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? Yes. We all want miracles in our lives. We all want those things to come into our world that we say, that's straight from divinity. That happened for a reason. That came into our life at the right time, in the right space, with the right energy, with the right intent. It's magical. It appears seemingly out of nowhere at just the right time, and we say, oh, God bless, thank you so much. It's the saving grace. It came at specifically the time that I needed. What happens all the other times in our lives? What happens the rest of the time? We say, my life's not working the way I want. I don't have the job that I want. I don't have the income I want. I don't have the relationship I want. The health, the vitality, the energy, the drive, we're getting by and we're coping and we're wondering why things in our life aren't materializing the way that we desire, that we want them to be, that we envision when we're all little. We had these goals, we had these dreams, and we had ambitions, didn't we? We had an idea of how our life was going to turn out to be. And a lot of times, they fall short. Other times, it hits the mark. But we notice some areas we hit the mark on. In other areas of our life, not so much. So why? What's the defining factor? We tell our dramas, our traumas, our stories to our friends and our families, and whoever will listen. You've got the friends that will listen to you, the family members at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, or whatever hour it is that you want to vent your frustrations. I can't believe what this person did. I can't believe what they said. My life is this way because they did that and they said this, and if they wouldn't have done that, then all these things wouldn't have happened to me in my world. Can we all relate to that? At some point in time or another, we want to point the finger. We want to say, it's their fault. You know, I'm here because of what they said. Because of what they did or what they didn't do, and what they should have done, and what they should have kept their obligation. They should have kept their promise, but they didn't do that. And I'm going to hold on to anger, and I'm going to hold on to frustration, and I'm going to hold on to resentment, and I'm going to hold on to fear. And I'm going to hold on to all those negative level state vibrations, the lower vibrations. Actually, don't like to call any of the emotional states positive or negative. It's your intent and how you use them. Now that's, if you're taking notes, that's the beginning portion of manifesting miracles. Because when we disconnect, when we fragment from ourselves, when we fragment from those aspects of ourselves and we say, this part of me I love, this part of me no one's going to see till the day I die. I'm going to put it in a closet, and not even my spouse, not my best friend, well maybe my best friend, but most people, the 99% of people, even my best friend, won't see this part because I don't like it. I disown it, we shun it, we put it away, we lock it away, and we hide it forever. Whatever you hide from, whatever you fragment from, whatever you disconnect from is ultimately the thing that is going to keep you from manifesting the things that you want in your life. Because that's an aspect of you that you've denied, and it will continue to show up in your world until you decide that you're going to find gratitude for it and ultimately love it. Find gratitude and love for the things that I don't like. You're crazy. Not going to happen. But it can, and it does, and we can show you how. With an open mind and an open heart. See, the Creator, God, the universe, whatever energy you choose to call, Almighty, the grand orchestrator of the universe, the one that has the grand plan, doesn't give you anything in your life without a positive intent. You've all heard the phrase, God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. Now, some people choose to tap out on their own accord, but that doesn't mean that they can't handle it. There's a big difference, isn't there? Let's teach you how to handle it, but more importantly, not just handle it. Find the kernel of love and wisdom that's contained within the nuggets that you once felt was a big pile of poo in your life. The things that you felt, how could this happen to me? Why me? How many of you have felt at one point in time or another the why me? We've all had that. Why you? Why not you? Well, why would you say that? I've had some pretty lousy things happen to me. What do you mean, why me? That's a lousy thing to say. No, actually, if you've been given some pretty heavy challenges in life, it's because the Creator knows that you're capable of handling it and rising and transcending above it, and you have that potential, you have that seed in you, you have that God-given gift within you laying dormant to be able to handle anything in your life that the Creator throws at you, and rising above it to create those miracles that you so desire, so that you so passionately want your life to make those changes that you're looking, my God, where is my abundance? It's around the corner. Keep digging. You're almost there. Don't stop. It's right there. If you just look a little bit further, you're almost there. But people quit. They quit right before they strike gold, right before they get to feel the diamonds. Don't do that. Let's transcend it. Let's find out why these things are in your life in the first place. Why do they manifest to give you the gifts, the hidden gems that ultimately you'll be uncovering? What hidden gifts? Oh my gosh, what's going on? What are you talking about, hidden gifts? The hidden gifts are the things that you once thought was a burden, punishment, a liability, an issue, a torch to bear, a cross to bear, the burden that you've been saddled with, karmic debt, whatever you want to label, all these things that we've been taught by our society. And by the way, the feelings that you feel when you get upset, when you get frustrated, that you've been told were wrong, you're entitled to feel them. And that's where people fragment from themselves, is when they've been told they're not allowed to feel. They're not allowed to have those emotional spaces. And those are the very key things that stop you from manifesting the miracles in your life. Because until you're grateful for what you have, it's very difficult to receive more. It's very difficult, if not possible, to achieve the things you're wanting to achieve in life that you aspire to be, do, and have. The better relationships, the health, the finances, all the abundance, all the manifestations, all the things in your life that you're looking to not only bless yourself with, but how many of you also want to bless others in your life? have to own your pieces. You have to own your fragments. You have to own the things in yourself that you once thought you could never do before, and it's easier than you might think. To be able to look at a situation and say, oh my gosh, without that happening in my life, I wouldn't have met my spouse. I wouldn't have my best friend. I wouldn't have gotten my education. I wouldn't have gone to this place or that place or met these group of people, live in this home, move to this town, have all these amazing supportive groups of friends, being in a wonderful environment like this in this wellness expo, to be able to share light and love with people. If that never happened, it never would have led me down this trail. If that one thing that I was complaining about and cursing all this time never happened, it wouldn't have led me down a trail of self-discovery to now where I can start to share and spread the light to other people, to share the love, to share that inner soul, that inner being, to connect with the light of the Creator, to be able to manifest those miracles, because now I start reconnecting with those aspects of myself that I once shunned, and I said, no, not good enough, no one's going to see it. And when I reconnect with those aspects of myself that I once shunned, guess what? I now have a connection with each one of you, and you have a connection with each one of your fellow brothers and sisters. Because when you connect to those aspects of self that you once shunned, you now have love and compassion not only for yourself, but for other people. How do we have peace on earth? We first start by having peace within ourselves. We can't have peace on earth until we have peace within ourselves. Because until I have peace within myself, since you're a mirrored aspect of me and I'm a mirrored aspect of you, if I find something in me that's out of balance and discord and I push to the side and I don't like and I have judgment on, I'm going to have judgment on those mirrored aspects that I see within you. Does that make sense? When I love those pieces within me, I love those pieces with you, and I can have compassion with you, I can have love with you, and I can start seeing those miracles in abundance start flowing into my life, because now I'm grateful, now I'm loving, now I'm seeing the pieces coming together, now I'm seeing the wisdom come to light, I'm seeing the grand plan, I'm seeing that there's a reason for all the things that have happened in my life and how they continue to happen, no matter how dark they might seem on the surface. There's always light. You have to look for it. You have to want it. You have to want the light so bad. You have to want it more than you want your limitations and your limiting belief systems. You want to have that spark in your soul, spark in your heart, to be able to reach out to divinity and say, not just why did it happen to me, but what do you want me to do with this, and how do I use it to enrich my life and the lives of others? You ask those key questions. Watch what starts happening in your world. Watch what happens when you start becoming grateful for the little things, for gratitude drills. I love gratitude drills because that starts opening up a whole world of abundance to you. Gratitude for the seemingly small things in life, yes? Gratitude for the beautiful sunshine. Gratitude for the grass. Gratitude for the building that we're in. Gratitude to be able to speak to all of you amazing people. Gratitude to feel the love. Gratitude that I can breathe, that I can move, that I can talk. Gratitude for the ceiling and the ceiling tiles. Gratitude for the acoustics in the room. The gratitude goes on and on and on. Endless amounts of gratitude. How did you get to this venue? Did you drive? I don't care what kind of car you have. Do you have gratitude for your car? It got you here. Do you have gratitude for your tires? I don't care if they're almost bald, it still got you here. Yes. Gratitude opens up that heart. It's the gateway, it's the key, it's the linchpin, if you will. It's the pathway to open up yourself to be able to receive that connection, that divinity from the Creator. Now, are we all connected to the Creator? Absolutely, 100%. Otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here. Mm-hmm. But people often say, I pray, and I wonder if Creator hears me. Do you really pray, or do you nag? Do you barter? What is a prayer? You can request. We would suggest that prayer is more in the form of gratitude. Prayer is more in the form of saying thank you. When you say thank you to somebody, are they more receptive to hearing it than if you're just complaining and shutting things down? They're more receptive, yes? Creator's the same way. Creator hears you no matter what. But when he sees that you're grateful for even the dramas and the traumas in your life, as well as everything else, your life begins to open and flower in ways that you can't even begin to comprehend and understand. Doors start to open, connections are made, things start to appear and manifest in your life. You're like, wow, where has that been all this time? It becomes a magical way of being, but it's connected. It's coming from a true, authentic space. Now, when you're grateful, we would suggest don't be grateful out of greed. In other words, don't say, okay, fine, I'll be grateful. I'll do this gratitude thing if it'll get me more stuff. If it'll bring that person in, if it'll bring me more money, then fine, I'll be grateful. No. Can't fake the Creator out. It has to be sincere. It has to be authentic. It has to be heartfelt. It has to be genuine. Whatever you get on top of the gratitude is a cherry on the cake. It's icing on the cake. It's that extra something special that you get for acknowledgement of the blessings that you already have, and by acknowledging what you already have, you'll be given more as a consequence of that. It's a different way of existing, isn't it? It's a different way of perception. See, when we talk about perceptions, when we talk about looking at the things in your life that you once didn't like, that you once felt was a curse to you, and then you flip that and you say, well, how's that actually a blessing? We're altering perceptions, aren't we? Mm-hmm. See, now I'll tell you, no matter what anybody has been through, no matter what you thought was the worst case scenario in your life, I promise you that there is somebody on the other side of the fence that think that that's their greatest fantasy. If you don't believe me, Google it. You'll find fetishes of all kinds of weirdness, all kinds of stuff, whatever it is, it's all out there. Here's the point. What makes one person think one thing is bad and another person think another thing is good? Now, I'm not here to justify poor or bad behavior. You all have a moral compass, and I leave that between you and the Creator. I'm not here to preach to you on what you should do or shouldn't do in your life. But what we do want you to have is a clear and concise focus as to what that direction means and should be to you. How do you spread your light unto the world? How do you be the best that you can be? How do you shine to the degree that you're literally blinding? That when you start to create those massive changes in your life, when you start to light up your world and the world of other people, then you become the shining example that people come to you and they say, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to know what it is. I want more of that. Tell me what you're doing. Teach me what you're doing. Show me what you're doing. Because I want to be as light and as bright as you are, and I want to transcend those issues in my life. See, we talk about transcendence, yes? Because we don't want anybody to get over anything. Getting over anything is one of the worst pieces of advice that anybody could ever give to you. Do you know why? Because you don't get over it. You shove it in the corner. You put it in the background of your mind. You label it. You stuff it. You put it in a box. You say, and you shove it in that closet that we talked about. We said, I'm not going to look at it, and I don't want anybody else to see it. It's going to stay hidden forever. And it's not gotten over. It's just put in a place where it festers and it grows and it creates the opportunity for all kinds of energetic turbulence within the physical body, whether it be health issues, relationship issues, financial issues. It's those things that were mentioned earlier about the patterns that keep repeating in your life over and over again, and you don't know why. You don't know why this person keeps showing up in my life in a different body. Why the finances keep coming up, and I can't get over the struggle of breaking that pattern and getting into the world of abundance. We want you to not get over anything, but to learn the lesson from it, love what the lesson was there to teach you, and then transcend it. There's a big difference between transcendence, isn't there? Because when you transcend something, it means that you've gotten what the Creator has said, what the intent was, what the love was behind whatever the dramas and traumas is in your life that you thought was once a curse and a blight onto your life. To be able to own those hidden aspects of yourself, to reintegrate, to be whole again, which is also, in a sense, part of becoming holy, because you become whole by learning to love and reintegrate all those fragmented and disconnected aspects of self that you once shunned. How different would your life be if you were more holy? How would you be able to manifest more if you were more holy, meaning that you are integrating more of those aspects within yourself? To love all those pieces, to allow yourself to feel in the proper time and space as appropriate per given situation. See, there's no positive or negative emotions. I don't care what you've heard in the past. There's vibrational levels of different emotional states. You have the lower vibrational states and the higher vibrational states. The one emotional state that you should be in all the time is love. Now, you can mix and match emotions. How many of you have been with people in your life that you love but don't particularly like? But love should always be there. Why? Because it's the transformative power to get you to where you need to be. So many people say, oh, well, I love my spouse, but I also love a hamburger, but I also love my dog, and I love my car, and I love my apartment, but the love isn't necessarily equal. So we want unconditional love, yes? But unconditional love. How do we achieve unconditional love? Because so many of us have a litany of conditions with our unconditional love. I love you so long as you do this, and if you break any of those conditions, all bets are off. Now, we can love unconditionally, but we don't necessarily have to agree or like with the actions or behavior of certain individuals. Yes or yes?
Yes.
We can love ourselves unconditionally by owning all those aspects of ourselves that we once disconnected from. People say, oh, I shouldn't be angry, it's bad. Really? What happens if you need to be angry to move your butt in a direction that if you were once stagnant in, or if you need to defend a loved one, or if you needed to get something accomplished, or do a task because you were first in an emotional state called frustration, which is a very powerful emotional state. Oh, don't talk about frustration, that's negative. Oh, but frustration is a great place to contemplate your life and say, you know, I want my life to be in a different space. How are you supposed to manifest miracles until you know where you are? Depression. Oh, don't talk to me about depression. You don't know about depression. Oh, we know about depression. Let me tell you. How else do you take an internal check within to decide what's working or not working within your life, and then use that emotional tool, that emotional complement that Creator gave you called depression to say, hey, this is what's working in my life and this isn't what's working in my life, and to take it in the healthy range, all these emotional tools I'm going to be talking about in a healthy, limited range to move you into the positive state. So now you can say, okay, I was depressed, now I'll move into frustration, and then I'll move into anger to get my butt moving. And now that I'm out of anger, because I'll put that emotional tool down, now I can pick up an emotional tool of being proud and being energized and feeling like I can take on the world and I can accomplish things and I can do things and I can do and have things I never thought or dreamed I could have before in my life. And then we use the emotional tool of ego. Oh my God, you brought up the E word. The E word in a health fair, a holistic. What are you doing? Don't talk about ego. Ego's bad. How are you supposed to have ambition, drive, use it in a healthy way, use it in the way that God intended for you to use it? Why do you have your home? Where do you have it? Why do you have your children in a school environment, in a school system, even in a private school or public school? Why did you choose your particular car, your spouse, your clothes, your level of income, your education, your job? It's all ego. There's nothing wrong with it. In balance, in proportion, the right tool for the right job. Because then you can take that ego and you say, it gets me here to my desires. Now I can table ego for a little bit and I can have love and compassion for others while I'm helping them on my journey to achieve. And as I achieve, I help them achieve. And as we help one another, now we manifest more miracles. And you have to look for the miracles in your world. You have to look for them and see miracles in the large and the small things. So when we talk about having gratitude, it's more than just having gratitude. When was the last time you felt it? Actually paused for a moment and felt the gratitude. Oh, I'm so grateful for this beautiful weather. Feeling the sun on my skin and the warmth. There's no hail. I'm so grateful there's no hail. But there is gratitude for hail because there's a lot of people that make money from people who have hail damage. So grateful that those people can earn a living and provide for their family. See, it's that balance of learning to love everything in your life, even the things that you never imagined or thought you could. That's how you manifest the miracles. That's how you manifest the things in your world that you never dreamed that you could. It's by loving the things, large and small, that you never thought you could. You guys getting some value out of this so far?
Yes. Yes. Do you want to open it up to Q&A?
Sure. Anybody have any questions so far? Yes.
How would you go about, say you don't have enough drive or motivation, what are some ways to cultivate a burning desire so that you can overcome your mental barriers or whatever barriers are preventing you from manifesting what you want?
Great question. Well, one of the first, did everybody hear the question?
I don't think they did.
Okay. How do you create that drive? How do you create that inner drive to where you want to do those things and overcoming those limited barriers and belief systems? Yes, is that? Well, first you have to get clear on why you have the limiting barriers and beliefs in the first place. What is the governor that is stopping you from achieving that? Is there something going on in your background that you've adopted as an internal lie, as an internal belief system that you were told you shouldn't do, be, or have? You shouldn't have these things. You shouldn't want. You shouldn't have that expectation to go out. Or maybe someone said that you couldn't. You weren't capable of it. Who are you to? Nobody else in our family has done it. Why should you? To identify where those fragmented aspects of self-lie and to heal those. We can teach you how to do it. Any other questions?
If some of those things about your fragmented self are subconscious, how do you go about recognizing or acknowledging them?
Okay, so let me repeat that make sure everybody heard. So, actually, say it one more time. Can you do it a little louder?
So if some of the parts of yourself you're talking about are in your subconscious or you're not aware of them, how do you go about, I know meditation is other forms, but in your method, is there a way to find out what those are?
Absolutely. Results speak volumes. In fact, our technique, the Ezekiel method, is all about results. But it's in first recognizing the results that you've already manifested in your world. So you're already the creator of your environment. You're already the creator of your world. So what have you created in your world that you like? And what have you created in your world that you don't like? In identifying the things that you don't like or within the weeds and the seeds, the mental blocks, beliefs that you have, and in identifying those, then we can start to uncover what the seeds, the emotional core is, and why they're still there, why you keep repeating it. Is that making sense? Any more questions? Yes?
It's not a question, it's actually more of a comment. When I have prayed, doesn't pray intentionally and gratefully, usually I ask for most benevolent outcome, which does not always come out as to what I, wanted. But then I have to realize that may just be what I'm needing at that time.
Oh, I
Or
absolutely
to
love
get
that.
something maybe later down the line.
Absolutely, and I love that. And the interesting thing about that is we're linear beings. We see things pretty much tunnel vision, although we're multidimensional beings at the same time. So the thing about being on this physical reality is we're limited as to how we see the multifaceted aspects of how things happen in our lives. So the things that we see happening in our lives now that we don't like might be a stepping stone to something greater in the future that we don't necessarily see now. So sometimes we have to eat our spinach before we can get healthy. Right? Sometimes we have to do things that we don't necessarily want to do in the short run in order to reap the long-term benefits. It's an identifying within those prayers and the outcomes that we get, the things that we see in our world that we don't like, where we uncover, okay, why don't I like that? What's really behind that? Healing that aspect and then transcending beyond it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everything that you've been given is a tool. It's been given as a tool for your growth, for your transformation, for your... Look, we're here in the physical reality for one thing and one thing only, and that in the end, it's to learn to love everything. You say, wow, learn to love everything? Not possible. Well, yes, you can, but we take you on a journey, and it's a very personal, individual journey for each one of us as to how we love the different aspects of the things that we see, not only within us, but the things that we see mirrored from without. See, anything that we have judgment on the outside world is something that we're going to have judgment on the inside world. Anything that we see on the outside that we don't like is a lost and fragmented aspect that we've disconnected from ourselves. If anybody ever says anything to you and it hurt your feelings, it upset you, it's because somewhere deep inside, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it rang a kernel of truth and it bothered you because you didn't want somebody else to see that aspect of you, and you didn't even want to see that aspect of you in some cases. You disconnected and denied from it, and that's why it's showing up as hurt feelings. Because if you were like, if someone said to you, you're a jerk, and you go, yes I am, they would hold no power.
Right.
But if someone said, you're a jerk, and you go, no I'm not, that hurt my feelings, how dare you? Right? It's because you've been found out on some level and you didn't want to be found out. But if you own it, say, yes, I can be a jerk in the appropriate time and space when I need to be, but I can be very loving when I need to be. I can be very compassionate when I need to be. I can be a thief when I want to be. If I want to run up and steal a kiss from my wife, I can do that. Right? It's how you use the tools to help further your spiritual advancement here in the physical reality, to get the most out of life, to get the juice out of life. See, so many people say, so many emotions are bad, they're not valid, hide them, stuff them away, drug them away, do whatever it takes to get rid of them. You don't want to have these emotions. Be happy all the time. Happy, happy, happy. All the time. Happy, happy, happy. You'll crash. We're not designed biologically, physiologically, to experience happiness all the time. Do I want you to be happy? Absolutely. Do I want you to experience joy? Absolutely. But don't be afraid of the other emotional tools when you use them in the proper span and space to move you in a positive direction that's going to give you the outcome that you're looking for. Be respectful to yourself as well as other people, absolutely, but honor yourself. Honor who you are. Honor the aspects of self that will move you in the directions to manifest those miracles. Because when you shut aspects of you down and you deny aspects, how do you expect to get things to come in? If you label and judge things, and by the way, do I want you to label and judge things? Absolutely. Do I want you to have opinions? Absolutely, because that's the way we're wired. That's part of our internal mechanisms of defense, of adaptation, of being able to discern what's good for us and what's not good for us. When we live in a culture that says you can't judge, you can't have an opinion, you can't do this and you can't do that because it's not politically correct, that's a bunch of bunk because it shorts you in being able to manifest and move your life in a direction that you need to be. Now, does that mean you can go out there and spread all kind of, vile stuff and piss and vinegar across, whatever and hurt people just because you think now it's no. Obviously, we live by a moral compass. But you're entitled to have opinions. Am I making sense? And own your opinions. Don't shrink from them. Don't be afraid of them. If you feel a certain way, it's because you feel a certain way. Guess what? If you feel a way, you don't owe anybody any explanations or apologies for the way you feel. Can I get a round of applause for that?
Yeah.
What you do with those tools is you use them for your spiritual advancement to know what. See, there's like an internal GPS. They're meant to guide you. Do I go here? Do I go there? If I don't like something, why don't I like something? If I'm afraid of something, why am I afraid of something? What are the emotions really telling me? It's not just enough that you have them, it's how do you use them? How do I use them to manifest? How do I use them to be the light and bright individual that I'm designed to be? Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes?
We were talking about sometimes things happen repeatedly in our lives.
Yes.
Why does that happen? And I know you mentioned that we should learn from it and transcend it.
Yes.
Can you elaborate when you say transcend it? Like, how do we transcend it? I didn't get that part.
Perfect. Okay. Did everybody hear that? Yes. Okay. So the question basically was when mentioned that things repeat in your life. Can I talk a little bit more about why things repeat in your life and what is meant by transcending it? How do you actually transcend it? Did I get the gist of the question right?
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Things repeat in your life because they're designed to show you what you haven't loved yet. They're designed to show you what in your world you have rejected and what you've put off to the side, what you refuse to acknowledge about yourself or others, or when you see something in others, what is it in yourself that you've decided that you have found unlovable and you don't want anybody to see. So the things that repeat in your life are there to keep surfacing until you learn to love it. What is it there to teach you? How is it there to help you grow? Okay, that's the first part. Now, here's a caveat on that. How many of you experienced the metaphysical 2x4 across the back of the head when you don't get the lesson and it keeps getting stronger and stronger? Okay? We don't want you experiencing that. We want you to get the lesson long before that comes, so we can show you how to do that. How do we show you how to do that? Which is part 2 to your question. We do it through a series of steps through the Ezekiel method, which is inspired from the prophet of Ezekiel in the Old Testament. If you look up the book of Ezekiel in the Old Testament, it's a lot of fire and brimstone. We're not teaching a lot of fire and brimstone. But what we are teaching is a method that goes along with the book. So we teach about identifying what your issue is, how to love and find gratitude for it, and then how to transcend and clear it through a meditative process. Now here's the beautiful thing. Once you have owned the fragmented or disconnected aspects of self, now you've created a vacuum. You've got room in your closet, right? So what happens if you clear out your closet or your garage and you don't have intention of what you put back in? You fill it up with more junk. Okay? We teach you a meditative process to connect directly with Creator and to also manifest and fill up your closet with the things that you do want instead of things that you don't want. Here's the thing. Once you've owned the fragmented aspects of yourself, you can then become clear and intentional about what it is that you do want. There's a big difference. Okay, see, a lot of people teach, oh, if you just visualize, 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 you'll get it. But how many people aren't really clear on what they want in the first place, and they fail to get it? Okay? When you do affirmations, affirmations are powerful. Yes, we all agree they're powerful. Problem is you've got to focus and think about doing affirmations. But what's going on 24/7 in the back of your mind is all the negative self-talk that you've been saying to yourself, or other people have said to you. I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too thin, I'm too fat, I'm too rich, I'm too poor, I'm too educated, I'm not educated enough, I have too much experience, I don't have enough experience, I'm this ethnicity, I'm that ethnicity, I'm this gender, I'm that gender, and it goes on and on and on as to why we limit ourselves. Those are all the different fragmented aspects of ourselves that we need to love and embrace and transcend. When I say transcend, it's very specific because if you had a favorite toy as a child, how many people had a favorite toy? Do you get it out and play with it on a regular basis now as an adult? No. Why? Because you've transcended it. You don't need it anymore. You're on to other toys. Maybe, if you like Hot Wheel cars, you play with Hot Wheels, okay, when you're a kid. Well, now you've got a big car. You've got, a sports car, RV, whatever. You've got, you graduated. Okay? If you play with baby dolls, maybe, you graduated to having a family. Okay? See, we graduate to these different levels, but it doesn't mean that we don't honor and enjoy the toys that we had in our past. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're taking our lives and we're transcending, we're graduating to different levels and saying, this is bad and never existed, and I'm going to ignore it. It's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about owning and integrating all those lost and fragmented aspects of self so you become a whole, complete individual. This is a very different way of being. That answer?
Yes, thank you.
Tell us some stories of people that have manifested miracles that Ezekiel did.
Absolutely. In fact, we have some students here too, so if they're willing to possibly speak up and give a brief testimonial. But one of the testimonials I love to talk about is a nurse that came to us and she was on disability from work. She had a physical disability that she was couldn't go to work. She was getting checks from her insurance company to keep her going. And one day she found herself in a space where, since she hadn't been to her job in so long, that she was fired. She was let go. And her insurance checks stopped coming. So she had a son that she was responsible for, and she had run through her savings, and she was about a week from being on the street when she came to see us. And took her through the process, and before we even reached the meditative portion of it, her phone rang, and she let it go to voicemail. Started entering into the meditative process, and she fortunately let the voicemail go again. Later on, when she went home, she checked her voicemail, and she calls me up. She says, "You'll never believe who that was." I said, "Yeah, I can believe it." So she tells me anyway, she says, the first phone call was the hospital saying, "Hey, we haven't seen you in so long, we've been holding your job, we want to know when you're coming back." The second phone call was the insurance company and said, "We owe you an apology. There was a clerical error. We're going to be sending you all the back checks next week," which amounted to somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,000 to $5,000. And that all happened in the span before even the process was complete. See, miracles can happen, and they can happen quickly. Do they always happen quickly? No. Sometimes they take a little bit more time. Sometimes we need to enjoy and honor the journey along the way because we get more from the journey than the actual destination. you know, there are people that we encounter along the way that are an absolute blessing and a godsend to us that we wouldn't have encountered if we just reached our destination. Yes?
I'm your biggest fan. I am. I own a radio show, and I wanted him to come on, and we were trading services because I really wanted to know what it was that he did. And he has transformed my life completely with no voodoo or anything like that, so I was really excited. But it was really amazing. Now, I was abused as a child, and as being abused as a child, I had all of this negativity where I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like I was wanted. I always had to prove something, and I've always tried to get people to like me and want me and need me, and I've always had like this, I have to have this. But because my dad was a liar and he was no good, and my parents were divorced, and my new parents, they knew what was going on with me being abused, and they didn't do anything. And so I had to live with that, and it was hurtful, it was hard. And then I got married, and the guy that I married, he was wonderful for the first 2 years, and he was like romancing the stone. He was like this guy that from nowhere, he was so nice and kind. And then he went to military, and when he was in the military, it was almost like something just changed, and I started to accept the PTSD and the abuse and the, like, I'm always trying to get him to like me. And it was like 20 years of marriage this year. And it never, I've had my pastor and stuff, and he would say, don't let him treat you like a child. Don't let you, and everyone's saying the same thing, but I'm not understanding what it is that they're trying to say. Because I never got away from the child part, where you're trying to get approval from your parents and from your peers and from high school and all this other stuff. And so during the transition with him, I was able to connect with where I was as a child, where I was able as a teenager, where I was as a marriage, where I was halfway through with my children. And not only has my life changed in the past 2 weeks, my husband is now asking, he dropped me off here, okay? He dropped me off here, and he's so nice to me. He asked me if I wanted to put gas in the car, he checked the oil, and my life has just completely changed because the things I was once trying to get and trying to prove, now I know I have my worth. He showed me my worth. And I've had God in my life for the past 20 years. And I've had like the light of, I want to be close to the Lord, and I don't want to ever lose my salvation. And he was grown up in a really religious home that I now teach my children to. And I wanted that connection so badly that I was willing to just do whatever it was that he wanted so I would have that. And now I realize I had the work the whole time. All the stuff that happens to me as a child has brought me to where I am, where I can just go up to somebody randomly and I can be a blessing in their life. And it was like, it's been like the best 2 weeks of my life. I called him like last night and I'm like, oh my God, you're not gonna believe this. There was these people who randomly came up, and I was where I once was before all of this garbage started to pile up. And with him and the Lord's help, we were able to declutter, be able to see things, take things that are so shameful, so sad. And now I'm like, the past 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, by the way, yeah, I was abused as a child. Like, I'm not even worried about it because it doesn't affect me the way that it did before. I'm not ashamed like I was before. And now, because I'm more open about it, people who are at our age, they're like, hey, that happened to me too. What are some things that you got away with it? So I've been able to be a blessing because of you. So you're like my biggest hero right now. So I absolutely love you.
I want to touch on something that you said. I'll get to your question in just a second. But something that you said, notice when she said that her husband is behaving different. People are behaving different. See, when you raise your vibration, it changes the vibration of the people around you. This technique is not to be used 10 minutes. Okay, this technique is not to be used to control or manipulate anybody else. It's all about you. Okay? But I will say this, when you change your vibration, the people will change as a consequence, as a result of that, because now you're in a higher state. Does that make sense?
So
Yes.
I can't
can't think of the right word, it's not serendipity, but I'm having flashbacks because I went by the booth and I picked up your flyer about speaking at Unity.
Yes.
And about a week or two ago at Unity, because I mentioned I was a member, they had a book club on, and I'm catching the same vibe, Florence Scovel Shinn. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
The Game of Life.
The Game
and how
of
to-
Life, and Your Word is Your Wand. And we kept focusing on what she would call, because she's in the 40s, demonstration.
Oh, okay.
And she was a metaphysician,
Yeah.
and Hay House publisher, the publisher of Hay House, Louise Hay,
Uh-huh.
she studied Florence Scovel Shinn.
Oh,
And so I wondered, if you didn't know who she was, I was going to ask you, how does your method compare to?
I don't know, I've not heard of her till this moment.
Can I contribute on that?
Yeah, yeah, in fact, did you want to also give a little testimony?
Yeah, I think I'll do
Yeah,
both. Okay, so, can I stand and talk?
Yeah, yeah.
So my name is Amir. I am an IT professional as well as a model. So when I came to him in 2014, I was in a really bad state in terms of like, I had tried to change my career and that thing had backfired. So I was in a situation where I was not able to get out. So my goal at that point was to get back in IT and to start modeling at the same time. He helped me get both of them done simultaneously. So that is possible because he said focus as a power. Now his methods, and I'm going to come directly to your question, like because I have heard that quote multiple times. What she talks about is the same rules that you talk, but in a very high level, where how they can just think about it and have offer affirmations, and that will come. However, his method is more proven to the point because it talks about addressing the issues that you already have. So when I go through his methods, because I have been doing them for a while, first few minutes or days are like really bad because it's just all getting the junk out and not able to find out what exactly that thing is. But the one thing that really helped me is getting on the paper, because getting them on the paper is transferring, and that's what she talks about, transforming one form of energy into another. So where those chapters of empowerment, casting the burden, and all those things. So all of them, they get covered in here, but his methods, they specifically give you the tools which you can use to manifest the exact results that you want. Because they have worked. I was not believing in it. My friend was his student, and she dragged me like, you come, that's it. I was absolutely not interested. But then she's like, no, you're coming. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. I was like, oh, that's not. And it's been what now, 4 or 5 years or something of that sort. But yeah, I mean, like, I really wherever I'm right now, I still have issues. We still talk about that. But however, I think I'm on a much, much better state thanks to Almighty and thanks to you for that thing. So that's the connection, if I can say on that part. It's more methodical and you have more control as opposed to just like, because she says you have to keep affirming. How? She doesn't clarify. He does. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing people gathering in the back, so I think our time is probably up. Come by our booth. I have a book coming out hopefully by the end of summer. It's Teachings from a Prophet. It will outline the method. We also have classes. It's ezekielcenter.org. If you guys want to come up, grab one of our cards. It's got our website. We'd love to see you. Thank you so much. If you love this, please tell everybody. If you didn't, don't tell anyone.